The chilling night settled itself here in Ponyville. Loud thunder sounded just outside the barn, lightning scorching the sky after its loud brother of a storm. Rain soaked the grass, apple trees, and dirt trails around the acres. The moon was barely visible through the pitch-black clouds. And this wasn't a storm planned by the weather Pegasi. This storm was something different, something stronger. The night sky poured the rain down all night, crying down upon the small farm and everything around it. 2 ponies had to run and take shelter in a small barn near Sweetapple Acres. One, an orange mare who lived on the aforementioned farm. Her blonde mane and signature Stetson hat were soaked from the raging storm. She shivered and hid in a large pile of hay. She had not seen a thunderstorm like this since she was a filly. Seems like a long time ago now that she thought about it. Her green eyes stared up at the freezing barn ceiling. She hugged herself in an attempt to increase her body heat, only to no avail. Suddenly, she felt something warm cover her. She lowered her eyes down to her side, greeted by a familiar yellow wing, a set of cyan eyes, and an innocent, comforting smile. The second pony she shared the barn with was close to her heart, a friend for a very long time. She was a pale yellow Pegasus who lived a very shy life, even in the company of a friend. Her pink lemonade mane covered half of her beautiful face from the world. The farmer mare smiled back at the caring gesture and pulled the Pegasus closer, wrapping her in her forelegs. The 2 laid there in the bale of hay, cuddling and listening to the soothing sounds of rain hitting wood and dirt. Suddenly, the deep bass of thunder struck just outside the barn, startling the Pegasus as she squeaked and hid her face in the chest of the orange earth mare. She chuckled at the shy Pegasus and kissed the top of her head, stroking her mane and whispering that she was there with her. The Pegasus lifted her head up from the earth pony's chest, just enough to see her scared cyan gems. She whimpered, tears forming in her eyes. The Pegasus was never the type for loud noises, or anything like thunder. The earth pony's heart ached from the sight of her scared companion. She sat up and pulled the Pegasus in closer, bringing their muzzles only inches apart. Both mares' muzzles turned a deep crimson. Even in the darkness of the barn, you could see their blushing cheeks. Oh, now I feel it coming back again. Like a rolling thunder chasing the winds, forces pulling from the center of the earth again. I can feel it. Without much of a warning, and to the earth mare's surprise, the Pegasus leaned in and broke the space between their lips, pressing hers to the farmer mare. Not that she didn't enjoy it. She kissed back, wrapping her hoofs around the Pegasus and pulling her back with her as she fell back on the soft bale of hay. Her hat fell off. Not that it mattered in the least at this moment. Both of these ponies' minds ran at 155 miles a second, each thinking and wishing this moment would last forever. Lightning and thunder sounded again, highlighting the spectacular and heartwarming sight. The 2 laid in each other's warm and loving embrace. Both were soaked from having to run to this temporary shelter. The Pegasus pulled away from the lips of the farmer pony, leaving a thin line of saliva between them. Her sudden smile broke it. Her eyes were still watering, making the other mare frown. She held up a hoof to the face of the Pegasus, wiping the tears away. She whispered promises of safety, assuring her as long as she was there, nothing would harm her. That was more than enough to the Pegasus, as she leaned back down and planted her lips to where they were. The rain continued throughout the night, pouring and showering the small farm of Sweetapple Acres. Storms aren't a regular thing in this area of Equestria, even if from the weather ponies. But it hadn't come from the mysterious dark depths of the Everfree Forest either. This storm had formed on its own, not to scare and destroy, not to keep you up at night and frighten the fools. No, it had come to bring two together, to place them in a small confined space and have them love each other in privacy, to have them show and share their love for one another. Not that it was a crime anywhere else. The Pegasus slid down away from the lips of the Earth Pony, laying her head on the orange chest. Her pink mane was pushed back out of her face by the farmer mare. She loved seeing the Pegasus's gorgeous face. The lightning from the outside only highlighted the sculptress's features. She smiled warmly and held her friend close, pulling them both deeper in the hay. Oh, now I feel coming back again. Like a rolling thunder chasing the winds, forces pulling from the center of the earth again. I can feel it. The storm had passed. The deed was done. The large acres of apple trees dripped the rainwater from its fruits and leaves. The grass around them had gotten the same treatment and sat soaked by the storm. Then, the grass was forced into the ground, pressed down by a pair of hooves. Several pairs to be correct. One set was a shade of lavender, the other an elegant white. They ran through the trees and searched the acres, looking for their friends who were lost the day before, just before the storm hit. They reached the barn. The door hung slightly off its hinges. The lavender unicorn opened it and ran in. The white unicorn followed her pace. She bumped into the unicorn once, only a few inches inside, however. When about to ask, she finally saw what froze her friend. In a small bale of hay, only a few hooves away, laid their missing friends. They lay in each other's hooves and slept soundly, their heads laying against one another. The two unicorns smiled warmly at the sight. They were happy to see that they were safe and were in good hooves. They turned from the two and exited the barn, knowing they aren't needed. And so the two unicorns venture home, ready to begin the day anew after the storm of unknown origin. But on their way back to the nearby town, they heard the sounds of thunder in the distance. Oh, now I feel coming back again. Like a rolling thunder chasing the winds, forces pulling from the center of the earth again. I can feel it.
Support me on Patreon and Ko-fi, links in the description. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe. Good night, every pony.